I'm Jeff Biggs, and NFL free agency is now less than 3 weeks away. Not that we're counting.
I'm Landon McCool, and I'm glad to have an excuse to brush up on my Marcus Aurelius.
We didn't hear you, Iisha, but that's okay. We'll get you back.
I'm Iisha Morrison, and I am just kidding. Excited we got to hear from our new defensive coordinator, Christian Parker.
Love it. Can't wait to get into that.
Glenn Stretch Smith, I can't wait to get on with this show.
How about them Cowboys? It's the Cowboys Squad. Everything Dallas Cowboys every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from America's team the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Cowboys Squad Show, starting now.
That's right. You squad up because the Cowboys news never stops, and we welcome you to another edition of the Cowboys Squad Show. As always, we begin with a welcome to Iisha Morrison. Got a lot going on. We have the co-host of the Daily Locked On Cowboys podcast, Landon McCool, and former Cowboys coach, Glenn Stretch Smith. Great to be with you tonight. We got the very latest on what's going on with the Cowboys. Who should they target in free agency? What is the best plan for the draft? How's that all going to go down? Maybe anything from the combine. We also have predictions for win totals. We'll get into those as well. But going to start with the big news of the day. Iisha hit on it. Cowboys introducing their new defensive coordinator, Christian Parker. Give us your first impressions and what were the big takeaways?
Who's starting? Am I starting? Who should go?
Yeah, we'll go with you, Landon.
I mean, I think as advertised, right? I think we spent a long time having this knowledge that he was the defensive coordinator without having seen him. So I would say for most of us, his reputation precedes him. And I think from what we heard from other folks all around the league is that this guy's very well respected. He's an impressive young man who's up and coming and smart, organized, has a clear vision for what he wants to do, is dedicated and committed to that vision. And I think that came through in the press conference. He sounded confident. He sounded like he knew exactly what he was trying to get out of this defense. He had a clear plan. Look, a lot of these times with these press conferences, it's a lot of a box checking, right? It's a lot of platitudes. It's a lot of kind of just answering the obvious questions of, are you qualified to be the defensive coordinator? Those kind of things. So I think, he handled it excellently. I think it's ultimately going to be about what he does on the field, obviously. But as far as being personable and being accountable and just, all together enough to kind of handle a situation as a young coach who's going into the teeth of the Dallas media, I thought he did a great job.
All right. Iisha, how about you?
I think what initially stood out to me was just how devoted he seems to the bit and how much he's just ready to get to work. I mean, there were even times they tried to kind of joke and he was just like,
yeah.
And I mean, obviously he's personable, but obviously he also understands that when he took this job, he was taking on one of the worst defenses in the NFL last year. So I think his plan, you can tell he has a plan. You can tell that he's been thorough, and just his demeanor and his presence seems commanding, and not in a bad way. So,
all right. I like that. So, Coach, it's going to be kind of 3-4-ish with some tweaks in between. What do you think of that, and how does that work? What will that look like?
I mean, I think it fits where they're at from a personnel standpoint right now. I do believe that. What it looks like is probably not much different because most teams today line up in one tight, one back is what they base out of. I do think that in some first down situations, it's going to look like a 3-4, with what would be considered a true nose guard, two guys, whether they slide 6 inches or not, kind of two guys that are over the tackle. You could argue whether they're going to be 4 eyes, 5s, whatever you want to get to, and then 2 overhang players, which means 2 guys off the hip of those guys. Not a true 5-down scheme because those guys on the hips can drop. But, from what I've seen so far, it's, same thing Vance Joseph does, the same type of thing that Vic Fangio does, the same type of thing that Mentor does. I mean, it bases out of a 34 look. Now, the only question mark I have is that when you play that front to marry it to the back end, it's not always easy. That's why everybody forever wanted to, I think, change to and really it's an Okie front. I mean, OU's been running that front for years. And what the challenge always was to marry it with the back end and stay sound from a coverage standpoint. So we'll see. We'll see if he can do that. Very young guy. I mean, optics was very young yesterday. So, we'll see. We'll see if he can get that done.
All right. Well, a couple things that have stood out to me. I like the fact that he really went out of his way to stress teaching, number one, but number two, very refreshing to hear him say, at the end of the day, you gotta build around what your players are and what your players can do. And I like kind of leaving that flexibility in there to get him, adjusted. And once he gets comfortable with everybody, trying to make, the best calls and unit that he can.
I also like hearing that, but I also feel like we hear that from every defensive coordinator coach who comes through here. Like that's like so boilerplate at this point. Like, oh no, my system's players first, and no. Like nobody wants to dare say that. Hey, system is what allows players to shine, or even stand up for their own systems anymore. So it's always just funny to me that like. Yeah, that like, oh, my team, I believe him, because I think that's part of why you have a multiple front is so you have the opportunity to kind of, get guys into position to do what they do best and use those players the best way. But I also think that Matt Eberflus came in here and said the same thing almost a year ago today, and we ran a very, stagnant system. So, again, ultimately it comes down to what they do on the field. But I'm excited based on just the diversity of influence that he has had, that he's gotten on him. I mean, from Fangio to all, all his different spots along the way, and just kind of ingesting all of that, and then hiring a coaching staff that, like I said, we've talking about like the thing about the offensive way of attacking, coaching is that they went out and got guys who lined up with their philosophy on offense, and they went out and interviewed a ton of different coaches to kind of find the guys that they needed, and that was exactly what they did on defense. There's a lot of alignment. It's easy to see the shared coaching trees that each one of these guys have with each other, and then you also think about the fact that they went out and interviewed 40 plus of these guys.
Yeah.
Like that's an impressive number, and I think that shows you that they really did a deep search, across NFL and college to find the guys that they needed to kind of teach the system that they're going to be putting in here.
I like that. And so I was sorry about that. So what I was thinking is, 40, like you said, right? I didn't get to hear the whole thing. I didn't get to hear the whole press conference, but did we learn anything else, like anything about what they might want to fix or what they might be looking for as far as the draft and free agency?
Iisha, what stood out to you there?
The word development. That's something that stood out to me. I think that's something that's kind of going understated in the NFL right now. I think everybody's kind of microwave about stuff. So the fact that we got to hear him speak about development, Shadi speak about development, and it's not just development for the players. You're also speaking about development. Again, as Coach was talking about, there's a lot of young coaches on this staff. And what stood out to me is that it sounds like they want to create an environment that whatever is built here can continue even as guys move on. And that's something that Dallas hasn't had in a while. And I'm looking forward to, the development of these coaches. So there's not so many breaks and, because guys are going to get jobs inevitably.
Yeah.
So many breaks in consistency and language and, scheme. But then also, too, in developing these players, he seems very focused on actually taking the time, like you said, to teach and to develop and to not just microwave these players into, whatever you want them to be just for your specific team. They can translate.
One of the things I loved that he said is that they asked him about the continuity and how that was going to work. And he rightly said, this is a team that has had 4 defensive coordinators in the last 4 years. What continuity is there? And I think that that's basically fair, and I think he doesn't get this job if he doesn't have a plan for the personnel that's on this roster already. But I thought it was good to kind of point out, why would we want continuity from what we've seen in the last 365 days and really beyond that? So I thought that was a really good answer by him.
Mm-hmm.
Was he asked about the secondary specifically? Did he talk about that?
Yeah. The one thing specifically I thought that he talked about a lot was someone asked him about the nickel position and how important that role was going to be in his defense. And again, I would argue you're not a modern NFL defense if the nickel role isn't important. It's a starting position nowadays. So I think, there is some, platitude aspect of that. But I do think that you look at the way a lot of these defenses play nowadays, they're trying to find ways to keep their nickels out there all the time. And that's what Seattle is obviously famous for, was being able to match you with nickel no matter what kind of offensive personnel package you put out there. So I think he talked a lot about the need to have a heavily versatile player at that role because of all the things that you're asking him to do. Be a blitzer, be a run defender, as an overhang, in the pass game, having to pick guys up, having to drop into a hook or a flat, and sometimes dropping into a safety, like if you're playing like something like quarters or something, and on that, or 6 on that side, right? So I think that there's just a lot that's asked from that role specifically, and it's interesting. I think the reason he talked about it is because someone asked him about it specifically, but it was interesting to hear him kind of go deep onto that position and what he thinks is important for that role.
All right. I like that. That's good. Well, we'll see. I mean, there's a lot to work there and a lot to do. And so as far as, did he mention anything that he wants to improve or anything that he's looking forward to really diving in and getting turned around as soon as possible?
He said affecting the quarterback.
Yeah.
He obviously specified that affecting the quarterback is pressures and all that stuff, but stopping the run affects the quarterback.
That's what he said were the 2 main factors that it was important.
Yeah, those were the 2 things. And Coach, I'm sure you can talk about it, but really more than anything, it seems like he just wants to play sound football, but also to be creative and be able to play the matchup game week to week, depending on, who it is that you're going up against and not just be, narrow minded. So.
Yeah, I think when you look at the NFL today and how guys are wanting to play on the edges, I'm saying you've got to have physical corners. They have to come up and tackle. That's where we are today. I think that's the number one issue for me is everybody wants to talk about or give different names to certain fronts, certain stunts, certain coverages. There is no more new football being invented. Not even new football being invented. What is happening is you're having an evolution, I think, of players, and I think they are expecting guys to be able to do different roles and to play in a more physical aspect. When you look at today's secondary, I think the Cowboys, the one thing that killed them this year was ability to tackle on the perimeter. And so I think day one, These are all things that you hope that he goes in, understands, and starts to insert himself in playing with the correct leverage and attacking with the correct angle so that you can go get yourself in position to make a play. I mean, tackling is a want to. Tackling is a give a shit gauge. It's what it is. And some guys are not afraid to go up there and put their face in it. And other guys are like, I'm really not. I'm a corner. I'm a cover guy. And in today's football, you got to have a more physical set of corners. And I'm saying set, that's 3. Because one of those guys has got to go in and be the nickel.
Well said.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's going to come down to, can we see that happen? Can they make that happen? And like we talked about on Monday, can this defense really be fixed? And can they get to a level where they can make a playoff run and be able to hold their own in a postseason game? And, ultimately you just hope that whatever happens coming out of training camp, that they will continue to improve and get better, and hopefully by year's end be, the kind of unit that they're hoping for, and that can lead them on a run.
And I think it's how you teach, and it's how you insert those techniques. That's really what it comes down to. How do you teach it? How do you insert it? How do you teach guys near foot? I mean, all the things that go into, in my mind, what is day one teaching. And I think Landon made a point, all coaches are going to step to the podium and they're going to say, we're going to play to our strengths and we're going to put our players in position for them to succeed, and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, do you know how to teach it? And do you know how to implement what it is that you're wanting to do? Do you understand how to teach it? Because that really
that's the most important. That's the most important right there. Sorry, not to interrupt, but that is the most important part. Like knowing how to teach it, right, Coach? Like how to actually get through to your players.
Yeah. How are you going to teach what it is that you want done? We can all go out here and look at YouTube and look at all kinds of training videos, look at all kinds of everybody speaking this language and that language. You can do that, play Madden and do all that. Hey, do you know how to teach what you want those guys to do? That's my question. And you know what? We'll find out real soon, because the last group of guys did not get it done. So that's it's not being ugly to anybody. That's just stating the facts.
And it's good that the Cowboys went out and got the guy that Vic Fangio trusts to teach his guys how to run his system, right? Like, I think that's a good sign. Like, this is Great so sign. I think, like we said, the mandate from Schottenheimer was, we need teachers. We need people that are going to teach these techniques. And I'm hoping that clearly they hit that target.
Yeah, I think it's this. Okay. Let's go ahead.
No, go ahead. Iisha, go ahead.
No, we can do it after break. It's okay.
Okay. All right. We'll do that when we come back. Some more thoughts from Iisha, and we'll talk about maybe, what are realistic options for the Cowboys to improve their option, not only in the draft, but also in free agency, which will be coming up before that. We'll do that coming up. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. All right. So welcome to the 5-hour energy flavor draft. That's right. We're looking at every aspect of the draft to let you know which tasty flavors are the best and which this might be sleepers. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and only one is going to take the top spot. Now, here's the thing about 5-hour energy. It has a wide variety of flavors, something for everyone, and 5-hour energy shots give you a boost with 0 sugar. So I was taking a look, and I think the best flavor for me would be cherry for sure, right? Just love the taste, smooth, no crash, no weird feelings. I mean, it's good. Definitely helps if you're in the midst of a long day or you're doing stuff and you just need a little extra and you don't want to have coffee or something in the afternoon. But I'll tell you what, with Cherry, right? I mean, that's kind of a common one. I don't know if that's going to make it to the top, but I think, maybe a sleeper favor would be the new cotton candy flavor that they have. Confetti Craze is a sleeper one if possible. And again, you can go with one of those or try something new, or keep Cherry as your top contender. So find out your new favorite of 5-Hour Energy shots, available online at 5hourenergy.com and or Amazon. All right, we are back. Cowboys Squad Show. That's former Cowboys coach Glenn Stretch Smith, Landon McCool, co-host of the daily Locked On Cowboys podcast, and Iisha Morrison, who is doing more shows than we can keep track of. So I won't even attempt to try to get him in there. Okay, so we're taking a look with the combine coming up, and we got NFL free agency, and then of course the draft. So this week, the Max Crosby rumors, they've gone quiet. We're not hearing much about that, but every day there's some new trade rumor involving the Cowboys, from trades, from rumors of moving up to get Caleb Downs, Minkah Fitzpatrick from the Dolphins, Denzel Ward from the Browns. So all kinds of different scenarios. Not sure what the Cowboys are going to be able to do, but what are your thoughts, guys? What are you looking at? And realistically, can they do enough to turn this around and bring in some talent to make this a good unit?
I mean, they're going to need to do some things. Obviously,
they better be buyers.
They better be buyers in some way. Because they need to add talent. I think in some of the trade, we kind of talked about the Max Crosby trade and the economics of that and whether that was worth it. I think, as you talk about the Denzel Ward and the Micah Fitzpatrick trade ideas, I think it makes some sense because of, where those folks are in their career. And those are, the kind of players that you look at and sometimes with there's different coaching staffs, or in Miami's case, it's a full on fire sale. I think you look at who's available and what you can get them for, right? So I think that's really going to be the kind of the main driving force here is what's the price on someone like Minkah Fitzpatrick, who is a 29-year-old safety who I think is due something like, off the top of my head, I think it's like $15 million, $16 million. It could be way more than that. But, so the question becomes is that something that you have an appetite for, or would you rather solve that problem in free agency where there's, a lot of opportunity in free agency, including a guy that that did play for Parker in Philly. So it's kind of just weighing all the options. And do you want to give up a draft pick for the honor of having to turn around and pay these players sometimes a lot of money? Denzel Ward's another example, right? Former first round pick. He's done very well for himself in the NFL. Do the Browns just aren't sure that they want to necessarily pay him? How do you want that bad enough to go give up? I'm assuming it would take 20 and then potential for signing to a long-term deal, and it may take more than 20. It may take multiple picks. So I think the devil's in the details with all of these trade situations. Whether the Cowboys could use a Denzel Ward or Minkah Fitzpatrick is the answer is obvious, yes. But the question is, you have limited resources to solve a lot of problems this offseason. If you're giving those resources up in return for one of these players and having to use some of your pool of cash, is that too much to spend when you've got a lot of mouths to feed?
It depends on the player. I feel like it depends on the position as well. I mean, when I think about the linebacker position, it's long overdue that Dallas gets a veteran in there that's steady, that is going to stay for a little bit. Because, you got these young linebackers that are trying to get a grasp on the game, and they have a different veteran in there every year, a different philosophy every year. I think that position in particular is something that I would be looking for Dallas to be, they could go out into the draft and grab a guy, but my God, you need a Mike. And if you're going to make a rookie a Mike, then that's on you. So I'm tired of that. I mean, when it comes to the safety position, as you guys just talked about, Sounds like it's going to be complex. Sounds like it's going to be a lot of communication and stuff, and to rely on a young guy to do that might be a lot. I know we saw Philly double dip and they saw success with that, but it took time. I mean, that Philly defense did not start off looking as polished as it ended up looking towards the end of the year, even last year. So for me, to me, it depends on what position we're talking about when we talk about free agency. I think you can supplement with the draft with some places, but some of these key spots and like rebuilding a defense, I think I want a veteran at the center of it, to kind of start things off. So that's kind of how I feel about free agency. But they do need to pull out their pocketbook and put away them coupons. They're going to have to, if they want to optimize. And I don't know how you feel about it, Landon, but this free agency class has some decent, some pretty good secondary players that are kind of sprinkled in there that Dallas could take advantage of. Also linebacker. There's some pretty good linebackers in this free agency class. So, Dallas will have the opportunity. I get the money, but, what are we weighing? Because if you can go get a rookie and not spend the money, but if you're not getting the system implanted and, then why does it matter?
Yeah. The more I think about it, like, honestly, I feel like I want to go spend. I would be not opposed to going out and spending big money and going to get someone like Devin Lloyd, right? Because then I'm not forced to go like spend a first round pick on a linebacker, and then maybe like honestly, if you're looking for a plan here, go sign Reed Blankenship, go sign Devin Lloyd, and then maybe you're a nickel corner, right? Or a nickel corner, and then use your 2 first-round picks to go get an edge and another corner if you can. I think that's probably. I mean, this is all wishful thinking because we'll see how it all plays out. Everyone's got a laid plan, a good laid plan until they get hit in the mouth.
Is it wishful? Is it wishful?
Well, I think some of you just don't know.
It better be their plan.
Well, the problem is that like for someone like some of these top end linebackers, you just don't know like how much money some of these truly wealthy teams are going to just drop on them, because some of them have to spend to get over the floor,
Yeah.
So I think I would love for the Cowboys to kind of go and get a superstar or a top end linebacker instead of kind of nibbling around the edges like they have been the last year. I mean, they really paid for it last year with Kenneth Murray, who was just terrible. They spent $7 million on that. Like, wouldn't you feel better just to pay twice that and get someone is not only good, but like elite, like top end? Like, I think to me, that's where I would rather. You're gonna overpay no matter what position you're paying for, no matter who it is in the free agency. You're gonna overpay. If I'm gonna do that, I'd rather overpay at linebacker prices than overpay at cornerback and edge prices.
Who are you going to restructure to get this money?
I think, everybody's.
We've done this like 100 times.
Coach. I say Tyler Smith, Dak, CD.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just kind of how.
Those three enough.
So when does that start? If that's I get it. We've done it 100 times and they ain't moved off square one. We can sit there and call it 100 times, but we still don't know that. So how do you? And I understand the exercise that you're doing. But how do you know what kind of money you got until you go restructure what you currently have?
Because the triggers are already built into the contract, so we know how much money they are capable of restructuring. That's why because how much money is able to be converted into bonus money as opposed to money that gets counted.
Okay, so with that being said, now talk to me about the guys currently on your team. And then do you still have the financial wherewithal to go even make a play at Lloyd? I'm just asking you.
Yeah, I think you can. I mean, we did, like we said, we did the exercise. What was it, a week and a half ago, where we were able to free up something like, I mean, it takes like just 2 of these to get the Cowboys over the cap, basically.
Yeah.
And then if you do another 2, like go ahead.
Again, I understand that. What I'm saying is it feels like. If Pickens is the priority, you're going to, is it Hooker that's going to be the cap casualty?
Maybe. I don't know that you're saving a ton of money necessarily with Hooker.
$14 million.
How much you save with?
Well, I mean, you're gonna have to replace a starter. That it just adds another starter that you got to replace.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay,
I mean,
again, how much after you sign are you saying that they need to sign Javonte?
they can sign Javonte. Again, we did this exercise. I mean, right now the
I got
Cowboys.
it. I'm saying what money do you what realistic dollars do you think you have to go put in place? Let's just say if you do want to make a play at Blankenship, because, and I'm just throwing names, Blankenship because he knows the system, and Lloyd because that's what you need. I mean, do you really have the financial wherewithal to sign Pickens, Brandon Aubrey, Javonte, and who knows what happens with Clowney?
Landon is saying that you have the money to do it. I think your question is do they have this? Is it the sense?
The stomach, maybe?
Are you trying to figure out?
They have the money to do it.
Yeah, like
the Cowboys are the number one team in the NFL.
Fitted under and sign those two guys. So what I'm saying is, if you sign Pickens, Williams, and Brandon Aubrey, you still have money to go sign Lloyd and Blankenship.
If you sign Pickens, like if you actually sign Pickens to a long-term deal, the money you're saving just on what he's going to cost year one versus what he would be making on the franchise tag alone.
Yeah, what's a long-term deal? 4 years? 5 years?
Yeah, like a 3 or 4 year deal or whatever, right? Whatever. Like the money change from that alone is enough to pay for Williams, Aubrey, and probably a third player. I mean, because we're talking, he's making 20. What is it? What's the salary? What's the franchise? It's $28 million.
28.5.
So if he signs a new deal and you could push that money around any way you want, you could basically make him, look like he's getting the minimum in the salary on the salary cap while you're giving him guaranteed money. You're saving whatever $20 million in space right there. It's all very movable. The Cowboys are the number one team in the NFL as far as available cash to be created by restructure. They can create, I think the number was $137 million.
Even more than I thought.
We're on the 19th of February. Get your ass going in direction then. Let's go. Let's move.
Do they have to wait? Do they have to wait until the new year to do that stuff, or can they?
There's no rush, or there's not really it's not really. I mean, they could do it the day before they sign someone. Like it's all it is pulling a trigger. There's no negotiating that has to get done.
Right. Okay.
I mean, you don't think that we know next week it'll start picking up just because combine, you get all those agents, all those coaches, all those people in one place. We'll start hearing some stuff. We'll start hearing some conversation. But I mean, Coach, you don't think they're on the phone? You don't think that they're, trying to work some stuff yet?
Well, I think,
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
No, I'm asking, like, are you concerned about the urgency?
Surely they are. But what I'm saying is from a realistic standpoint, I need to know before I could put my stamp on what I'd really want to do. Like, I don't know without a second or third round pick, like what does the draft really look like before I start whipping out and spending, money one way or the other. And if you're saying Fitzpatrick, what would Minka cost, and is he that much of an upgrade over Malik Hooker?
Sure. Those are the questions that we would be asking. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the answer, like I said, I don't know what he would cost to be traded for. Like those are the particulars that that are the really determining factor here, is because you don't have a ton of resources. And when you talk about trading for a player, you're spending both sets of resources. You're using a draft pick and you're using part of your pile of cash. That's what you'd have to
do with Fitzpatrick, correct?
Yeah, that's what exactly.
Yeah. So you'd have to do the same thing. Blankenship's not a free agent, is he?
Yes, he is a free agent.
He is. Okay. So you got Lloyd and Blankenship free agents. Ward looks like they could. Are they thinking about cutting him in Cleveland?
I think it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if this is an opening salvo to a cap casualty situation. Wouldn't be shocked.
Well,
so we'll see.
All right. We will see. Absolutely. All right. Let's talk about the draft a little bit more. And coming up, we'll get into this first win total projected for the Cowboys. We'll do that coming up. This is the Cowboys Squad Show. I want to talk to you about Indeed, because workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location, so you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. Now, here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking with you, right, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed. That's according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And again, if any of our listeners go to Indeed Sponsored Jobs, and listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now. Support our show by saying you heard about it, and you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. All right, we're back. Cowboy Squad Show, talking about the defense and Christian Parker and what the Cowboys may be able to do in free agency. We talked a little bit about the draft. I saw one rumor was the Cowboys may want to move up in the draft to try to get one of those stud defensive players. I know it's early. We're not totally deep into the draft yet, but does that sound like a good plan, or do you think they're okay at 12 and 20? Maybe even trading down to get a pick for day 2.
I think they'll be I was about to say, I think they can ride the board, or, if the opportunity presents itself for them to be able to get into the second or the third round would be beneficial to them, depending on what they do with that one of their first round picks. Well, yeah, I mean, I think the second and third round are going to be really rich, and Dallas ain't got nothing. So
Yet. Look, if anything, I think the Cowboys should try to find a way to maybe trade down. I don't think trading up is a great idea, especially because the kind of defensive players that you're going for, right, like that are available. I mean, this is kind of the problem with this draft, right, is that you're trading up for a safety or a linebacker, right? And positional value wise, that it just isn't necessarily great. And I mean, no one needs to sell me on Caleb Downs or on Sonny Styles or on Arvell Reese. I don't need to be sold. But
the Giants is gonna have him. Giants gonna take Downs.
The Giants have had all kinds of drafting of great players on their defense that have amounted.
Who did you say? Downs, Styles, and who else?
Arvell Reese.
Arvell Reese is probably the only other person that's like we would be talking about. So I just can't imagine like them going up and again, even though they have 2 first-round picks, like Iisha said, they don't have currently some picks on the second day, which is really where the kind of value center is in this draft. So I wouldn't waste future resources, not waste, but I wouldn't use future resources. And I sure as heck wouldn't use that second first-round pick to go up. You need as many picks in key areas where you can get cheap starters as possible. So if anything, you should be trying to look at teams looking to come up to 20 from a little bit later, or even in the second round potentially, and see whatever you can get like in a haul to move back a little bit, and see what falls to you at 12, and hope that maybe for the same reason that you shouldn't trade up for Caleb Downs, maybe that's the same reason that he potentially falls to you at 12.
One of the only positions that I could see them like somebody trying to come up for is like wide receiver, offensive line, especially when you talk about tackle in this class. I mean, if you need a tackle,
quarterback,
it's at the top. And that shit. That's it.
I tell you, we'll discount it every single year, and then we'll get to the draft, and there will be a quarterback that will get taken at the bottom of the first round that all of us are going to be shocked about, because teams love having that 5 years of control on it. So I would just go ahead and write in pencil that Ty Simpson's name might get called somewhere right around where the Cowboys are picking in the actually, honestly, who knows? Like, maybe even where the Cowboys are picking their first pick. Like, who knows? So I wouldn't be shocked. Things always seem to change, and when we get closer to the draft, it always seems like teams are trying to convince themselves, trying to make fetch happen with some quarterback or some tackle that we haven't been talking about, right? And then they're like, they've convinced themselves that this is going to work, and then end up pulling the trigger on, I don't know, whoever it is, and we're just sitting there going, I cannot believe they didn't take Caleb Downs or Sonny Styles or whoever it is they passed on for some mediocre quarterback.
They all kind of mediocre, to be honest, in this draft. But that's funny. What you got, Coach?
I just think, I think every year I'm in agreement with you guys. I mean, there's going to be the mentality, for most people is it's better to be a year early than a year late. So somebody will be looking. I look at the Rams. You think they're not a year early in the quarterback market? That absolutely could happen. And I think you could see somebody get back in that first round. I'm still saying that until we truly know kind of in that ballpark range how many first round grades are really out there, I think it's hard to really then start to plug names into where guys could go.
Do you guys think, I know we talked about this a lot in our show earlier this week about, can the defense really, really be fixed? I mean, it's one thing to say it, it's one thing to know it and all kind of own it. But
yes, it can. It happens all the time. Like, it's just, I understand people's doubt, and I understand why people are nervous about it. But I mean, this is football. This happens all the time in football. We see coaches go to another program, whether that's offense, defense, special teams, hell, and it just clicks. It clicks. Sometimes it's personnel, sometimes it's obviously coaching, but this is not like an undoable thing. I mean, and you already have some pieces on defense that are guys that you can kind of build around. Yeah. So I don't think that it's undoable. I don't think, and I know a lot of people are saying like, oh, you only need the defense to be like middle of the pack. I mean, my God, you need them to just at least get turnovers. Shit. I mean, I almost cussed, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, it doesn't take a whole bunch of stars to make a good defense. It doesn't. Yes. It takes a unit understanding what they're supposed to do, having some real deal makers in between sprinkled in through there, then making plays, but it's a unit. And so I think the biggest thing is like, yeah, you need personnel and everything, but like, it's going to be up to these coaching. Like Coach, you were talking about earlier, I'm really excited to see the install process, to see how they install, how different it is, how the players are processing it, whatever the case may be. But it's doable, Jeff. I know that you got anxiety, and I'm sure a lot of fans have anxiety, and that's understandable because we got to see it. I get it.
What does doable look like?
Doable? What does doable look like to you? Because, I mean, we're asking them to play sound football. Jesus Christ.
Yes. What is that? So what does that mean? Like 2 more critical stops a game, 1 more turnover?
Don't be last on third down.
Yeah,
an offense that you're still expecting to score 30. Like what's doable? Because I mean, you're at rock bottom right now. So hell, any 1 more critical stop in a 17-game season is better than what they had.
Yeah, I mean, but
I think, look, here's what it is. The reason I think last year was so frustrating is that it's not just that the defense was obviously historically bad. It's that there was some talent on this team. And it didn't, you had some guys at certain spots on this team, and even they weren't playing at the level that you kind of expected. So I think that's what kind of gives me hope, is that you could use talent at all 3 levels. you definitely need talent at all three levels, but you also have some talent on all three levels. It's not completely bare in this defense. It definitely needs some, some improvement talent wise, obviously in the kind of, or depth wise, right? But you're not like completely starting from scratch. I think you're kind of rebuilding around you have a kind of solid young foundation you can build around. And I think you're extending from there. If you were starting completely from scratch, then I think that this would be an incredibly tall task. But
and if you were starting from scratch, what's the hardest thing? What in your mind? What's the hardest thing to go get?
I mean, honestly, like the Cowboys themselves have spent half a decade trying to find defensive tackles, and
they got three of them.
They got those.
That would be the hardest
You're already in a win situation.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the point.
That's the hardest thing to get is defensive tackles, and the Cowboys have three of them. Yeah. So tonight, when you take those Tylenol PMs and go to bed, that's what you need to think about. Hell, they've already got them in line.
That's right.
You're going to be knocked out. You're going to be knocked out. You're in a coma taking those. You be taking those.
Taking three of them. That's a lot. But
you be taking those.
I don't. Not me. Like
Coach, you be taking Tylenol PMs?
No.
I'm about to say, you're going to wake up next week.
If I was sitting up wringing my hands worried about whether the Cowboys were going to be worth a tinker's ass on defense, I mean, it'd probably be I'd be popping those Ambien like they're Tic Tacs. No, I don't take that.
Well, I think either way, I don't know that you need to medicate yourself to go to sleep. It is within the realm of possibilities
the point I'm making is
to feel better about this.
Is everybody's worried about defensively where they're at. Man, they got three building blocks up front. Yeah, and I'm talking about they got a foundation to build on that's as good as anybody in the NFL. When you think about defensive line and defensive tackles moving to a three-man front, I mean, it's all there for you. Not just don't go stink it up.
And that's like kind of it's trying to get angles of improvement in several different areas at once, right? It's getting a defense that's going to accentuate the talent that you've got. It's the 2 first-round picks. It's the fact that you're going to have a focus of free agent money on defense. So it's not like any one thing should make you feel better about this defense. It's that they are attacking this multifaceted problem with a multifaceted solution. And so far they are doing that, which is, hopeful. Let's see how it continues in free agency. And if they do their job in free agency, we'll see how they do in the draft.
May I ask a question?
Please.
I know that we're focusing on defense and between the draft and free agency and all that fancy stuff. But are there any places that you want to get some depth or something offensively? I mean, I know in the draft they probably gonna grab something, but I'm talking about free agency. Is there a position that we need to address?
If they choose not to sign Javonte, and are you telling me that running back may not even be the number one need for this team if that's the case?
I mean, I just don't worry about it because you're gonna have maybe one of the best free agent running back classes that has come out in the last 10 years, probably. I mean, the class is ridiculous. And so, Javonte is like the 6th best running back in the market, probably.
So, that's what I was saying. Like,
what'd you say, Coach?
He's not the 6th best pass protector.
Well, for the Cowboys to prioritize that, then they should be able to go re-sign him. But my point being, like, it's not a great market for Javonte Williams to be trying to hold the Cowboys hostage with some contract. I have a feeling he'd be happy to sign a very reasonable extension.
Yeah.
I don't think it's.
And I hope he does. I hope that's the case.
I think what we should do, come back from the break, and talk about is, I think that there are things about the offense that need to improve to get better next year.
There's a tease.
But I don't know if it's about acquiring personnel.
Wow. That's next level right there. That's Matrix stuff right there. I love it.
Oh my God.
All right. We'll do that when we come back, and Iisha will get your question in as well. This is the Cowboys Squad Show.
Hey, it's Matt Derry from the Locked On Lions podcast. The people I love depend on me. If I'm gone, the financial responsibilities don't disappear. I didn't want my family figuring things out during the hardest moment of their lives. That's why I knew only one place to go. I chose life insurance through my friends at Ethos. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy, 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. I love the folks at Ethos. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get the free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. That is ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. Ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. Application times and rates may vary.
There we go.
That was impressive. That guy said Ethos 76 times in a 2-minute ad.
That was tremendous. That was a great read right there.
Up.
By the way, Marcus Mosier, the great Marcus Mosier, co-host with Landon of the Daily Locked On Cowboys podcast. Even though he's not on the show tonight, he'll be back on Monday. He is kind of hanging out in the chat room.
He's just waiting for me to get done so that we can do the podcast. He's just
being messy.
Just trying
messy?
to avoid. No, yeah, he's trying to avoid having to go change diapers right now. I'm sure if he
can't help himself. Listen to the coach laughing over there. Y'all just sick.
He knows I'm right. Coach knows I'm right.
Y'all just sick. Why don't y'all just hug or something?
Iisha, what were you going to ask? You had a second question.
Well, I did.
Let's talk about my teas. Come on. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Go to Landon's teas. Maybe it'll come back to my mind.
Listen, here we do need to talk about offense because look, obviously the defense is going to eat up the majority of our time, and it should. The defense is clearly where the Cowboys need to make most improvement. There is some areas that we obviously have covered as well with the Pickens situations. We've talked about the fact that obviously they need to re-sign either Williams or some running back. Those things are all very clear. I think one area where we haven't really discussed, and I think that it's not as maybe as sexy as free agency or the draft or whatever. It's important that we don't rest on the Cowboys don't rest on their laurels on offense. And I think the area in which they need to see improvement next year is at the offensive line spot. I think that they have invested a lot of money in the offensive line in draft, in contracts. They've went out and got a offensive coordinator who is an offensive line expert and then hired another offensive line coach from college. They did a great job last year. I thought the things that they brought into the offense were incredible. Especially the additions in the power run game, some of the protection stuff that coach broke down. Again, one of my favorites is what coach mentioned too, the recognizing that Tyler Smith is a special athlete and then using him to pull out in for protections on the edge at times was, I thought, a brilliant twist in there and just a really great way to problem solve a lot of situations. So I am all for these guys. I'm not here to complain. I am here to say you have got all the pieces. You have got the coaches that you think can do this job. Now it's time to see the results. It's time for this offensive line to take the next step. They have got a lot of talent there. They got a lot of young guys. They got a room of guys that are all looking the same direction. It's time for that next step of the progression from, Tyler Guiding taking the next step. I thought he played better than the year before. He at least instilled some hope on me that if he can stay healthy on the field, that this could be the guy that we're looking for at left tackle. We need Tyler Smith to have a better year than he did last year. I know he was dealing with some knee stuff. We got to find a way to have him back playing as an all-pro. Booker, I'm excited to see year 2 of. I'd love for him to kind of step up to be more of a leader in that room because I think that his attitude and mindset is exactly what this offensive line room needs. I think BB is a guy that I specifically think needs to step up. I think we've had high hopes for him. I think he didn't necessarily have a fantastic year. I understand he was injured at some points last year, but I would love for him to kind of take the step into being the center that we had hoped that he would grow into. I think year 3 or whatever he's into is a good time to start expecting that. And then Terrence Steele is a guy that I feel like, there's been a lot of talk about what to do with his contract this year. I thought that Terrence Steele played better football than he did in 2024. And I'm actually excited to kind of continue to see him play in this system that I think fits his personality a lot, his play style a lot better than a lot of the other previous coaching staff. So this is a group that obviously has a lot of money and a lot of picks invested in it, a lot of coaching staff, a lot of eyes on it. It needs to take the steps necessary to not only get better themselves, but that is where the offense is going to grow and evolve. If they can get a better offensive line, if they become a better run blocking unit, a better pass protecting unit, that this offense, which was already, top 5, top 3, depending on what metric you're looking at, it could be the number 1 offense in all of football if you can find a way for that offensive line to take the next step.
Boom. Landon, that was like a pancake block.
There it is. I love it. Love it.
Fired up. I love that.
How do you feel about the offensive line, Coach?
I mean, I think you need to see some guys continue to, and you guys mentioned them. I mean, continue to take that step. Also, I hope that, and I know you guys have heard me say this because I do think this young man is immensely talented. Is span forward. I'd like to see him. I'd like to see them come out in some more 12 personnel sets. And use him if they can stay relatively healthy up front so that they can turn into more of a physical running team. Because I think what it's going to do is it's going to help Dak. It's going to help the play action game. It's going to help the vertical game. But I think he's so physical and he's so athletic. He's kind of the guy that I hope takes that next step of understanding. He played enough this last year, and I really believe that with a little confidence and and a little more experience, boy, he can be for real now. And I mean really good, like a dominant style tight end, a Pro Bowl tight end.
I agree. I mean, the body type that he has, obviously, he is such a willing blocker. That's what we saw from him in Minnesota when he was in college. I mean, he busted his ass. He might have been your best special teams player last year outside of your specialist, just running down there on kicks. He earned that tight end 2 spot. And quite honestly, I mean, me and Landon were at camp before he got injured. It was his. I mean, he was far more dominant than Schoonmaker had been. And again, there's value in him being able to block in line, to do things in the slot. And we got to see him later in the season start doing some receiving things over the middle. His size is going to be a problem with some of those safeties or small safeties trying to come down and tackle. I'm really excited for him to take that step as well, which brings me to my next point. Is Dallas in business for a tight end in this draft later?
Well, that's funny that you mentioned it because I was just going to bring up the fact
thing is just,
that's what I was going to say. Scooney is basically gone at this point.
And then what the hell is going on with Lipke?
Well, yeah, I think Lipke is just Lipke. I mean, I think he's going to be that role. I don't know that there's too much evolution there. I think that's what a fullback, tight end, glue guy kind of is, right? Special teamer. I think the growth there is, like you said, is the fact that we have not even mentioned Schoonmaker obviously means that we all think that Brevin Spanford is taking that job, and that's that. And the fact that we kind of everyone in the community just kind of has like universally resolved to that, it really speaks to exactly what he has done in his time here. So the question with BSF is the receiving aspect of it. Is he fluid enough, smooth enough as a receiver, catching the ball? Marcus, if you talk bad about Hunter Lipke one more time, buddy, like I'm going to put you in timeout. Okay.
There's so much tension.
No, I could not.
I know.
I think I'm the biggest Lipke fan ever too. I do think that his role is his role. Like that's what he's doing now is what he does. He'll surprise you every like fifth game by catching a ball on 4th and 2 because you didn't expect the fullback would get it. He'll take a carry at the goal line. He could be an emergency running back. He can line up as a tight end if you need to. He can play special teams, but he's not like the guy he's not Kyle Juszczyk, right? Like he's not necessarily that guy. So I think the key development is going to be having Brevin Spanford, if he can find a way to take a step as a receiver, find some confidence in his hands. I think that's a real weapon, because then you can deploy him on the field and it's not tipping off whether we're running or passing. He's a big body guy that can be a reliable target. It's a thing that you're looking forward to.
I mean, I get Hunter Lipke, but I'm to the point now where I've seen enough of him. Like, I know what he can do, and you know what, in a pinch, okay. But I still believe that if you're taking snaps away from Span Ford, then to me that's a little bit of a problem, because I do think that kid has got I'm telling you, just mark this down. If he can stay healthy, he is the real deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love that. All right, we'll leave it there for this show. We'll tease and we'll get into the win totals and all that stuff next week. But before we go, Iisha, what do you have coming up? Anything else this week?
No.
Who knows at this point? It's so many shows.
Actually, no. Actually, this is my last one, and
calling a weekend. Nice.
Okay, Landon, what about you and Marcus? You're going to tape right after this?
Yeah, I'm going to go off the show and then go yell at Marcus about Lipke. I'm here in a second. We got shows about the free agents that are available at the positions the Cowboys need on defense, just kind of examining them by tier. And so we're definitely going to be doing that. And then next week we'll be talking about some more draft picks. We'll have two sets of trios of guys to go over. And I'm always excited to kind of keep diving into the draft. There's lots and lots of interesting guys this year.
All right. Love it. Coach, thank you as always. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you again on Monday night. Iisha, as you as well. And Marcus will be back with us. Until then, check out tomorrow the Daily Locked On Cowboys podcast with Landon McCool and Marcus Mosier. Thank you for those that are listening later. We appreciate you. And once again, this has been the Cowboys Squad Show.